What is up, bros? Me, Josh here. And today's video is all about the USS Boise. Now, this is a Tier 7 cruiser that's currently work in progress, something we got to check out a little bit earlier. This is actually going to be the premium Tier 7 USN cruiser. I imagine sometime around when the line splits in 7.5, but this is going to be the Tier 7 premium version, along with the Helena, which is the Tier 7 tree version. But the Boise is a little different, but kind of the same at the same time. And one thing that this ship does is it's another Tier 7 that has radar, a 9.9 kilometer radar. So this is actually pretty good, along with other ships like the Indianapolis, which also has a tier 9.9 radar. And one thing that this thing could potentially do is actually counter the Belfast a little bit, because the Belfast radar is only 8.5, 8.49, but 8.5. And this actually has an almost 10 kilometer radar, so this thing could actually be pretty nasty and pretty effective at not only taking out Belfast, which a lot of people don't like to play against, but fun to play ship, of course. But this thing could also basically counter that ship if needed, because I think even when you fire in smoke, you aren't even detected with your radar range. So this could be a great ship to punish Belfast players if you want to go against that. But overall, a fun ship, and let's kind of dive into the stats. 8 hit points. 33.3k. You're going to be on the lower end of this tier. You're going to kind of be around the Helena, which of course is going to have basically the same thing. They're almost identical ships, and not too much really of a difference. I mean, it's pretty low. I mean, comparing it to, let's say, just a Miyoko with almost 40,000. You know, the Atlanta's going to have pretty low, but like the Shores, stuff like that, with just a little bit under. But stuff like the York, just a little under, you're going to be kind of on par with these. But some of these other ones that have heals, like the Fiji, you're going to basically have a smaller health pool, but the heals to make up for it. So not the biggest health pool to play with, especially not with having that much armor. The armor layout is pretty small in this entire line that's coming up. 16 millimeter. Again, this is the equivalent of the Monahan, the Tier 6 destroyer. So this 16 millimeter plating is pretty lackluster. And without a heal, it's kind of tough to get, you know, you can't get any of that life back. So you have to play very careful. But what these guns have, relatively decent rate of fire. A lot of shells going out, with 15 shells going out, 5 sets of 3, which is actually pretty nice. Grade 8A, mediocre range, but you have a pretty lofty shell at 812 meters per second, which is right there with the current Cleveland, if you've played that. These ships, especially with the captain that I'm running, an inertia fuse captain, the alpha damage on this ship can be pretty nuts. You'll be ripping 3, 4, 5k salvos, plus a relatively high chance of fire. Now this is with inertia fuse, which takes away 3%, and demo expert, which adds 2, so overall a minus 1% to what it normally would be. But you're rocking a 12% fire chance on just the base ship by itself, so 11 with inertia fuse. So that's pretty good. I noticed when I was playing these ships, I was getting a lot of fires, and not only a good alpha damage, but just fires all over the place. When you're pumping 15 shells out every 10 seconds, not even including any kind of adrenaline rush you have, you're going to be getting a lot of fires, as well as just good damage. Great AA. This is going to be a great AA line. If you're going to help a buddy play some CVs or something like that, you're going to be a great ship to kind of hold that down, and an anti-destroyer cruiser as well, because of the radar and having the ability to run hydro if you want, but I normally stick with AA. So at 6 kilometer range, now this does have a bit of a shorter range. Now I do have AFT on this as well as the AA module, if I can click the right buttons. We only get out to 6 kilometer range. Now the Helena, with all these right ships, I don't have a captain on it, but I think it gets out to 7.2. This is 6 without AFT, so not as far of a range of AA, but when stuff gets within your range of 6 kilometers, you're going to start chunking it down, just like you would with any other USN cruiser. So a great support ship. Although you don't get that 7.2 kilometer range, you will get that 6 kilometer range. As well as relatively maneuverable. Let's compare it to just the Helena. Now, the Helena is a lot more maneuverable, but the Boise, most times you're going to be kind of sitting relatively quick at 30. Actually, 810 millimeters. Let's compare that to the Miyoko. So, yeah, you're going to be less maneuverable than the Miyoko, actually. I think I was thinking of the Helena when I first said that. So, imagine a less maneuverable Miyoko when you're playing this. Most of the time, though, you will be posted up on an island, and using cover is your advantage, because you'll be shooting over kind of islands. A lot of kind of island camping, if you will, if you want to use that. I know it's not the most attractive way of saying it, but you'll be using cover. This isn't really an open water ship unless you really need to, because of that lack of armor. Detectability 10.1, that's pretty solid. You're gonna be kind of right there with a lot of the other ships. and be able to get in and get out of your fight. So 10.1 kilometer range, another thing to think about, 10.1 kilometer range on your detection, and then 9.9 kilometer range on your radar. So if you are getting detected, you're basically within range, almost within range of your radar. So a great way to take out destroyers, a great way to kind of counter anything that's really trying to sneak up on you. If you have your radar off of cooldown and you have the ability to use it, you can basically get something, at least spot it and get the knowledge of where they are, especially a sneaky destroyer or something like that. So a good thing to dive into. Again, this is the captain I'm running, just to keep in mind. I am running inertia fuse, so the alpha damage will be higher than what normally the ship would have, because you get the higher pen damage, and these are the modules I am running. Of course, fully upgraded on these, and then I am running main armament mod 1. Damage control system mod 1, AA range, and then steering gears. You're going to need it for sure. That these values are with the steering gears. So let's dive into some gameplay and kind of talk about what makes this ship relatively strong and a ship I enjoy playing. So here we are in game with the Boise, and of course we will be pushing a cap because we have that radar. Now we do even have a little bit of a destroyer coming to help us with our Akazuki, which is nice. And then looking what we're against right now, only 2 destroyers on the enemy team, one that can't even hit us with torps, but one that can. So we got to keep an eye out where that Mahan is, as well as trying to keep our battleship safe if we can from that Asashio, that demon spawn of an Asashio. But what we will normally do, per usual, is push this island over here, get right on this little area right here, because most likely we'll be detected unless something goes around that corner. If they do, of course, we can radar it, and if not, we'll be able to get shots back towards B cap because of the arc on our shell. And then ships that are rolling in towards B, hopefully they'll be spotted before us. There's not too much that's going to be stealthier than us. And if there is anything, we'll know that it's a destroyer, and then I can then radar it, or we can kind of take out as much as we can. So again, this whole line, which is going to be a upside of this line if you enjoy this playstyle, and a downside of this line if you don't enjoy this playstyle, is you're going to be close to cover and playing kind of a campy playstyle. This line is not considered what I would call an open water line. And what I mean by that is the IJN line, the German cruiser line, French line for cruisers. Those are a bit more of open water ships. And what I mean by that is you can kind of float, go undetected, do damage, use your guns, use your turns, stuff like that to kind of play that play style because they have a lower trajectory shell. Now, with this, you are going to have a bit of a loft on it. Now, it's not terrible within about 10, 12 kilometers, but you get outside of that, it's going to be very inconsistent, and there's that alpha damage I was talking about. First salvo, double fire, 7,200 damage on a bow in Belfast. You're relatively accurate with these shells. The dispersion is pretty good, and this is what I'm talking about with the counter to the Belfast. But still, you're going to be playing pretty close to cover. I do play a little open water right here to kind of get away and get some kills in, but you're not going to be playing this like a tier 7 like a Miyoko, or you're not going to be playing it like a York or a Shores, stuff like that, because you want to do, and here's the radar going to work right now. So we're trying to take out the Belfast, because the Belfast is the Belfast. Of course, you guys just saw, if you're paying attention, the Mahan over on the other side. And again, 2 salvos, 3 fires. That's not too bad, but there's a lot of bad guys looking at me. And if we can get a nice AP salvo. Now, these are only 152, so we might not get the damage. And I think he gets going too quick, but I think we punch him just a tad. Yeah, so a nice little hit right there. Pretty accurate. And somehow we bounced 203s right there. I'm not quite sure, but here is what I'm kind of talking about of the open water play. But I'm pretty close to going undetected, so I think I just hold my shot right here and go dark, which is something you're going to have to do from time to time. So I'm trying to reposition probably towards B a little bit more, or I'm going to rotate towards the other side, towards A again, to then get into another spot. This is going to be all about cover. Again, upside and downside of this line is you will be having to find cover, because if you just go open water, if you've ever played the Pensacola, if you've ever played the New Orleans, if you've ever played anything that has that style of play, where you get benefited from playing a bit more campy. I mean, even at 12 seconds or 12 kilometers, we have almost a 9-second travel time. With something that is moving pretty quickly, let's say a cruiser or a destroyer, we're gonna have a tough time hitting them. Now, this is a big battleship, so it's not the worst, but hitting cruisers with a 9-second travel time, it's gonna be tough to do. Not impossible at all, but It's just, you're not going to get much out of it. You know, they have to almost go around the Earth 3 times to land with this trajectory. So what you're going to do is you're going to use that about 10-kilometer in range and just be super effective at that. Just play with how the ship, with what the ship is good at, use that with the ship, right? You're not going to try to make, you know, square peg round hole kind of situation. If the ship is really good, I mean, like right here, 10-second travel time on a destroyer, good luck. I think I snag them with 1. If I was ashores, I pinpoint that all the time, but these ships have different play style. So I'm trying to kind of figure out what I want to do right here. Definitely don't want to take torps, so it'd be a bad idea. New Mexico though wants to try them out, see what torps are like in this game, and hopefully probably goes to the forums after that, talk about how they're overpowered. But we just want to kind of get back in cover and start working towards that. We have 3 caps, which is awesome, and we have a lot of low ships. I think right now I'm communicating with my battleship to hopefully finish off some of those low cruisers so I can get a little bit closer. But we're really just focusing on getting back into position so we can really work in. And this is the strength of the ship. Sadly, we didn't have a CV this game that would have kind of shown off the AA rating. Our New Mexico has decided to not repair his flood. I don't know if he had one already that he repaired or just doesn't know what the R button is. But he's going to give, I think, that destroyer a nice liquidator. Congrats to him on the new achievement. But there's a couple low ships. The Roma's working down. As you can see right here, not many ships could have really made this shot or continued to make this shot. And not having that long of range isn't the worst thing too, because if you can see, I'm continuing to shoot as well as not getting detected by that Belfast, because with the new bloom, if you fire, you get whatever your ranges of detectability. So with only a 13 point, I think it's 13.4 on this. 13.6. So with that, you're only going to get detected stuff within 13.6. A good thing to keep in mind when you're playing ships like this with lower range. You can do it, and there's the nice kill on the Belfast. Already 53k damage, 54k damage at only about 6 minutes, and we kind of been playing this ship not like its strength, but a bit more, as I'm going to keep using the example of open water. But right here is where the ship gets really strong. We can go dark, and we can start working down this Roma. We're going to be able to shoot at this Roma. He's not really going to shoot back at us. And with our rate of fire, he's going to beach broadside. So with inertia fuse and stuff like this, we're just going to absolutely wreck him. Now we need to get higher in the superstructure and avoid that armor, because it still is only 152s on these lines. So if you're aiming too far, I mean, if you're aiming waterline, you're not going to do much damage at all, because shells are just going to shatter. They're just going to shatter all the time. And luckily he repped 1 fire. Oh no, he didn't rep 1 fire, but we're going to start punishing him with these salvos. Every 10 seconds, we're going to be knocking out about a 3k salvo, which is pretty good. And we're going to consistently get shells going in with that good rate of fire. So we found the Asashio. So this is going to be a line where you are going to punish destroyers, which is awesome. Especially with ships like the Asashio that you just want to go out there and punish. Because if they're within range of you, you're going to do a ton of damage. Because, one, you're most likely going to be running inertia fuse captains, so your salvo is going to hurt even more. And then you have such a good rate of fire. You're so accurate. You have a pretty lofty shell, so they can't really hide behind islands too much. And it's just the best kind of makeup if you've kind of ever played the Atlanta or the Flint, stuff like that. If you find a DT within your detection range, they're a dead destroyer. So I didn't even have to use my radar right there. It was just too much damage coming in, and we plopped them with a nice little salvo. And that Pensacola's been trying to snipe me a little bit all game, rude boy. But we'll take the Asashio kill. That means our battleships can move up. We don't have to worry about that thing throwing torps at them. And we can now just start farming. Although he will get the Nagato with the flesh wound. A couple flesh wounds so far this game. So again, we gotta be careful with our broadside with only that 16mm plating. There's not much we can really do, and we're starting to lose this game a little bit. But again, if we can burn down this Roma, I'm pretty sure our Scharnhorst can kind of work this down. We lost our Bruzy early, and I'm just trying not to get dev struck off the planet. But even here, this, if you guys saw my review on some of the other ships in this upcoming line. Now this isn't the line ship. This is going to be a premium. It takes a while to get used to this. Now, I just got done playing ranked season where I played the Hindenburg. I've been testing the Kronstadt and testing the the Stalingrad. So these ships have a very low trajectory shell, and switching to this had definitely took me a few games because of just because of the trajectory. I mean, you're going from almost these low laser shells to something with over 800 meters per second. So these things are relatively low. It takes a while to kind of get used to it. Again, not the worst thing. It just takes a while to kind of dial it in, because when I'm used to just pinpointing, headshotting something at 20 kilometers with, let's say, the Hindenburg or these other cruisers, and this thing is having a little bit of a tough time judging what's going to happen at 13 kilometers. It takes a little while to get it back. But again, we're going to use this cover, and using the Snegator pit, we'll try to finish them off with our shells, and we can just push towards ACAP, because we have our guys south, and we're going to push north, and this is going to be kind of just a cleanup here for the rest of the game. But overall, I enjoy these new ships because they are different. There really aren't that many ships that play it. I think the USN cruiser line has been around for a long time, so most people, if you've been playing consistently, have probably gotten a little ways up. Now, in the past, some of the ship play styles that people like, I think I'm even using this as an example of, like, that's a perfect spot to be here. We're just going to start pushing in towards those guys. This is a line I think a lot of people have really already kind of worked through, because it's just been around for so long. And this is going to be kind of almost a refreshing play style that not a lot of people really have. I mean, you play this play style with the Des Moines a little bit, you know, with the Baltimore, with its relatively recent buff. It's been months now. But if this isn't a line you've been playing a while, it's going to give you a reason to come back and play these. Now, of course, with 7.5 comes the actual split. So there's going to be a heavy line and a light line. This would be a light line version. Then this is going to be basically the trainer for that line. So very, very comparable to the Helena, which is going to be the tier 7 on the light line. And a lot of fun on this ship. So basically you're trading out spotter, I think spotter plane and fighter plane. It's been a day or two since I played the Helena, so I kind of forgot there's too many new ships to go over. So we'll snag that kill too. And you're gonna get radar on this. So a nice another good ship, another fun ship to get radar on. And then this could actually be really good. I think tier 7 is a great tier, a fun tier, and this is going to be a ship that kind of has a unique play style. Now we've kind of seen it with the Atlanta, a relatively similar play style, high AA radar ship. I think this is going to be a little more effective because you are going to be able to get out a little bit more. The Atlanta is, I think, a little bit more lofty than that, and it's always a bummer to see your battleship getting burnt down by 2 HE firing battleships. So a bit feels bad, man. And we have another battleship off to our right, so he was probably just getting burnt down the whole time. But since that Nagano just repaired that, if we can get our range in, we'll be able to take him out, no problem. So not bad, almost 100k damage. We had to play a little bit of damage control this game, and we're obviously shooting a little too high right there. This is what I'm talking about with the travel time. You know, if I'm ashores, I'm hitting this every time, just because it's so much easier and so much more accurate at longer range. But this is going to be an open water, so we're going to angle into them, hopefully dodge as much as we can, and boom, a little bit of a salvo there, a little bit of some pain, but that's all right. We'll take the win right here with that Nagata going down. 103k, 3 kills, 14 fires, and overall pretty cool. Now, a fun little thing I noticed when I was making this replay, now I use the replay system that World of Warships has, that's why every once in a while I see a little bit of lag, and people think I scroll zoom. Don't you think that? I use shift when the replays, but I use the replays for World of Warships, and so I go back and I find the game that I want to use, and I was looking around for the Boise game. Now, this is set up to be a work in progress USN cruiser for tier 10, that's going to be a premium ship, but when I went to go look for the replay, there wasn't a Boise, and I'm like, am I spelling Boise wrong? How am I spelling Boise wrong? It's only 5 letters. I live in the United States. I've been to Boise. How am I spelling this wrong? So I went and looked around all of my replays, and this one came up as Nueve de Julio, and I was like, I think that has to be it. So I looked at my VODs to see what ship was before and after, and it actually was. Now, I don't know if this is a crest for the Argentinian Navy. I don't know if this is or not, so let me know in the chat down below, or if this just means something else. I don't know, but I looked up, and this was a ship that was, of course, it was the Boise, the Brooklyn class ship that the United States actually sold to the Argentinian Navy. So are we potentially seeing, now this is technically a work in progress USN cruiser, are we potentially seeing the first Argentinian cruiser, the first South American ship in World of Warships? Just looking at other stuff at this tier. Now, this is with the exterior for the camos. This is the premium one, the one you'd buy with the balloons. Now, if you compare it to the Helenas, it's different, right? So when you compare it to the Astoria, which is, this is the New Orleans going to tier 7, it's pretty similar with that one. But if you compare it to other stuff like the Pensacola that's currently in game, it's different. So are we potentially seeing the first South American ship in game, with this potentially being the Nueve de Julio? Who knows? Nothing's confirmed, nothing's denied. Now, I know that they use different code words for, they use different kind of names for the replays, and this could easily be something else. But it was kind of just something interesting to say. Let me know in the comments below if this means anything. I don't know if it does. I'm not quite like a naval history expert at all. But I think it might be kind of cool to maybe we'll see a Pan-Asian style line for other parts of the world. I know there's a lot of stuff for a lot of the EU countries. I know that there's been plenty of ships for the South American countries, all kinds of stuff. So there's definitely some options for some new lines, and could this potentially be that? You know, we've seen other lines like the Błyskawica where it's just purely the Polish premium ship. Could this potentially be an Argentinian ship that is going on? Or it could just go up as the Boise, who knows? But a fun little tidbit, guys. Just wanted to kind of bring it up, and let me know in the comments below what you guys think about that. But overall, the USS Boise, which we'll call it for right now, I think overall it's a fun ship. It's a fun play style. This thing is very brutal to other ships. It could be the Belfast counter, which we all want and love, just like the Indianapolis is with those big 203s. If you catch it broadside, that's going to send that Belfast back to port. But again, with inertia fuse, it's going to require a higher level captain, most likely at least a 14 point. So a bit of a higher required, I think, to really get all the benefit out of this ship. But good rate of fire, accurate, brutal fire chance, and overall AA, and you can't be a tier 7 cruiser with radar. So overall, guys, I really like this ship. Again, it's work in progress, so subject to change, and I hope you guys enjoyed this quick review and play style, and of maybe this little fun fact. Who knows what the ship might end up being? Is it going to be the Boise, or is it going to be the Nueve de Julio? So who knows, guys? But that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.